Welcome to Handicap Media Podcast. Number 2. Thank you. Podcast number 2. We've got JP in the house.
What's up?
A couple of guests today. Lance.
Hey, how's it going?
And Dickie. Here. Is that what we're going to go by? Safe there?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Dickie T.
your backtrack.
That's right. Got Dickie in the house. And we're here to talk about, I'll let JP expand what we're going into.
We're going to talk about things that are meant to help us but actually hold us back, like, dare we say, government programs.
Good. Like Social Security.
Double S word.
Double S. That's a bad word, right? And then we're going to expand into some one of our favorite topics.
Learn helplessness.
Yeah, JP and I talk about that constantly.
Oh, my goodness.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that.
It's rampant, folks.
That's right. So did you guys get to listen to the podcast?
Oh, yeah.
The first one?
I did not.
No. It's super good. You go back and listen to
I
it.
will.
It's a lot of fun. So, well, before we go ahead, JP, you said.
I just want to say, what we're doing here is, and we hope we have people that don't turn off when we start talking about programs that you may or may not like. But the thing is, take a step back, look at what we talk about tonight, and figure out, are these programs helping you or are they actually holding you back? And we're going to talk about that in great detail tonight. So keep your mind open, folks, and turn that volume up.
That's right. Well, and we want to probably tell some stories tonight, too. I figured with Lance and Dickie here, you guys need to jump in, too. I want JP to share some stuff. If you didn't listen to the first one, yeah, you missed a couple of good stories.
I got the gist of it from some conversation. Yeah, I got you. I'll go back and listen to it for sure.
We told my story last time, so if you didn't hear that, please go back and listen. But we talk about the things that I went through, and coming up, and also hanging out with Az and with Vicky, and it's just a great time. So when you get done listening to this, please go back and listen to that because I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I think Lance will be on JP duty for the week for his punishment.
JP duty.
That's right.
Up on the high rise.
That's exactly right.
Well, I remember the story. You told me that
Yeah,
this
I told
weekend.
you the
Yes,
story.
that's a great story, actually.
Yeah. We went to the lake this weekend, and Lance went out there. Diggie's supposed to come, but anyways, we went to the lake this weekend. Lance came out. We rode back and forth, and I was telling some of the stories that you got to tell. But I did want JP to tell you guys a story that he shared with me already.
Which one's that?
Well, I'm gonna let's try to set it up a little bit. Okay. So today I had to go pick up JP. So I get ready. I drive to his house. We kind of communicate what time we're going to hook up. I go to his house. He's ready to go. We jump in the van.
We did. We jumped. Well, I didn't jump. I don't jump, folks. I
like to see that.
aggressively rolled into the van. Hyper aggressively.
Yeah, well, so I get there, pick him up, but I'm texting him on the way, and he's like, I got to piss.
Yeah. Let you know the world's going to shut down.
He's basically saying I need about 10 to 15 minutes.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm translating that for him.
Right.
But
all the wheelchair guys listening are like, yep.
That's exactly right. So I get there, and so you guys will know JP doesn't drive anymore.
No,
okay.
I do not.
But I wanted you to kind of talk about your first experience of driving.
The crash?
Yes.
You want the crash story?
Yeah.
Okay. I know people back home are like, you didn't tell this? Yes, I am. Okay, when I became driving age, I'm from a small town in western Oklahoma. I got a car. I got a Pontiac Grand Prix. Back then, guys, I used a manual wheelchair, and I would transfer in my car and then move, put my chair in the back seat. One evening, I had my dad with me, and we were leaving the schoolhouse, the one building school that I went to as. We're leaving the schoolhouse, and I drove with the hand controls. So my left hand, the hand I used less, was in charge of the gas and the brake. May not have been the best idea, but there were limited options in the early 90s. So my dad and I are back. I'm backing out the van, so I press the brake. I press the lever forward to make the brake pedal physically go down, Lance. And so I'm backing out. I'm easing off the brake, backing out. Here comes a car speeding across, so I have to slam on the brakes. Hashtag Superman strength.
That's right.
So at that point, I went spastic. Very common.
You got to tell them what spastic is. So
yeah, it's very common for people with cerebral palsy and other disabilities to get spastic in a tense situation, meaning my muscles go completely rigid. Completely. Like little blue pill rigid.
And they're like...
How about that little blue pill reference one? Reference one.
I like it. But now I always call spasticity the Superman because it can literally break anything. So somebody be like, oh, this is back. This backrest or this thing won't break. And somebody has spasticity, they kick in. Just to kind of give you an idea, it'll literally snap it in half. It's so strong.
The strength is unbelievable. So I was startled by the car speeding by, so I went rigid, went spastic, and so my foot pressed the gas pedal all the way to the floor. All the way to the floor. In reverse. We're in reverse. My dad's riding shotgun.
In the parking lot.
Right. Small town, Oklahoma. So what are we doing now? We're doing donuts at 90. And my dad's trying to speak to me like, what the beep are you doing? Because he didn't know at first what was happening.
But
it's not like I could calmly say, my foot is pressing the gas pedal all the way down. It was sheer panic, folks. So my dad is now trying to help me navigate the other cars so that during my donuts I don't take out a car. But we finally didn't make it. We finally hit one of them, and my dad figured out what was going on, and he got my leg off the gas. So that was the big donut story, and I actually took out my science teacher's car. Of course, there's a crowd gathering. So there's somebody doing donuts at 90 miles an hour. Gravel's flying. And so that evening, my dad, at the time, was a welder. He went home and came up, and it's still in my garage. I'll show you tonight. He welded this steel plate that he hung that covered the pedals completely, so that I couldn't do that again.
That's nice. That's awesome.
Because that was the danger. Because I had my legs Velcroed. They were Velcroed to the seat. But when I went Superman,
popped it.
Forget Velcro. Velcro's done. They don't make Velcro to handle Superman strength. And there was no kryptonite around. So had it not been for my dad, it would have been an absolute massacre. I would have went through the school. I probably would have wound up in the next town somewhere in reverse. So yeah, that was kind of the end of my driving, really.
That's the end, pretty much.
Yeah, and see now, like there's some advanced technologies that are fantastic, but they are cost prohibitive. Mm-hmm. Like we're talking about $100,000 to get it set up where your van drives like a wheelchair, but it's somewhat cost prohibitive because of that initial cost, and then the cost of upkeep. The nearest service station for those kind of setups, I think, is in Houston.
Yeah, big cities. They'd only be in a big city.
So
drive for gas.
Yeah. So that was a hell of a night. 90-mile-an-hour donuts. I mean, I bet Nicky hadn't even done something like that. He kept his donuts to 80, right?
Yeah. I don't like donuts.
Well, okay, so I think we need to talk about Lance and Dickie's background a little bit, maybe to introduce him a little better. Let you guys pop in there, maybe give a little bit of history. Let Lance tell us first.
We want personal history?
Yeah, you can throw out whatever you want.
Medical history, whatever you got.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys want a stool sample?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
You can't see it on the radio, but I'll let them describe it, folks.
He's always talking about his stool.
No doubt.
He always is.
Not much for me. I'm Air Force kid, moved around a lot. Moved to Oklahoma in '93. Been here ever since. Call it home. It's a great spot, but kind of been in the healthcare field for 10 plus years, 15 years actually, and that's in a nutshell. That's me. So,
and your experience in the healthcare is more along what lines, so they'll understand.
So,
You don't have to tell, but you can.
Yeah, and administration, and then insurance.
Gotcha. So on the back side. So have you been around any people who are really handicapped?
No, not really.
You know what I mean? Like somebody in a wheelchair or
No,
or mental or anything that.
No, my wife works with, she's a speech pathologist. She works with CP patients and other like that. So just kind of at a arm's length. Or
Yeah,
distance.
so you might get some stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. More kids. She works with kids more.
Kids mostly. Yeah.
There's nothing worse than ordering a pizza when you have cerebral palsy. They're like, quit calling you drunk. We're not bringing you a pizza. Lay down the bottle.
I love it.
That's why you do online ordering from now on.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have the app now.
But the technology world's changed changed exactly the whole world for handicap.
Oh, I bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Dickie, what about you?
From the great town of El Reno.
We make reference to El Reno. It's gonna. I have a feeling that throughout this podcast, JP calls it the big city.
Guy.
Yeah, the big city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big city.
From the big city. And
I just look around the bright lights of Rock Island and
That's right.
Elm Street and all this other great country club road.
I mean, it is a country club too.
Oh yeah,
It's very nice. No, but I guess that's how I know Steven. And then I met Jason here in Edmond. So I really don't have. I guess I could say I do have a firsthand knowledge.
I'd say you have
of,
some.
I guess he'd be mentally disabled with the relative. So there might be some stories of that brought up. I'm not sure if I want to yet, but there are some good ones.
all right.
But either way, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, glad you guys make it.
Glad you're here.
Well, just so the listeners know, both these guys, we hang out with them, so they're friends. You know, went to college with them, and then of course JP's been around Dickie several hundred times. So
Go back a decade.
that's right. So and Lance is know Lance from college too, and kind of hang out same group of people, but he's a little bit younger than we were. So we were in a fraternity house, and so that's how we know Lance. So.
They want to bring some youth perspective here.
That's right. We need some
Right.
youth in
Yeah.
the room. Somebody under 40.
He's over there wondering what the little blue pills were.
Yeah.
What's he talking about? Blue pills?
But he's already talked about his stool.
Yeah.
That's how you know, right?
Well, JP, you want to kick it off? Like,
Yeah.
go for it, man.
Well, I see people all the time. A guy was texting with me Wednesday, and I thought I had him convinced to want to work. He's on disability, and we have this great talk, and he's ready to try work and explore working. And then I get this text from him a few hours later that says, "Hey, what if I just work part time? Because I'm really worried about messing up my Medicare, my disability, and that is a perfect example of what we're going to talk about tonight, which is learned helplessness. Because sometimes people with disabilities hold on to that help so tightly that they won't explore what's possible. And in my own journey, and I'll talk about that at length in the first podcast, so I won't reiterate everything, but the thing that's missing many times is that constant presence. The expectation that I had in my house, which was, you're going to work. You're going to work. My last Social Security check was $551.04 in August of '99. I don't miss it.
Yeah,
Because I didn't go for a job that was going to pay me $552. And that's it right there.
Right.
Don't limit yourself. Find what your passion and find a way to earn a living that you can actually enjoy your life on. And so many people think the only thing I want to do is earn a little bit of extra money to go with that check. But we also have to know that the system is set up to keep people attached to that check and the medical coverage. So let me just throw this out there. My big thing is, and anytime I talk about Social Security, I'm talking about the truly disabled, the people that it was meant for. Here's my thing. If you need a lawyer, turn your volume up, folks. If you need an attorney to get on disability, your ass doesn't need to be on disability.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Straight up.
Well, and you're seeing that disability, the people who are jumping on it. When we're talking about government programs, and I think Lance and I spoke at length even today a little bit about some of that population that's that's on Medicaid, and Medicaid's there for a reason. Right. It was actually structured to help people that need help, but the problem is it's just turned into a snowball effect that we're just adding everybody to that.
Well, like any government program, unfortunately, at least from my perspective, and I know that I've got a lot of people out there who disagree with this, but there's abuse runs rampant.
Yep.
And I've had discussions with people, and they say, no, it's negligible, and I just don't know how that. I'm sure that we're somewhere in between there, but for the most part, I think you could ballpark at least greater than 50% of some of these programs is being abused.
But I would say that's easy.
Right. I think it's closer to 80. There was a study done on it was a work program up in Maine, and they had over 11,000. They just took one small category of able-bodied, and I know that's not what we're talking about here, but able-bodied people who could work. And
it's related.
Right.
It's all related.
And so.
Should me on it already. But.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And
right.
So they did this program where they had to show that they were actively looking for work, and they did had some kind of criteria that it was good for that, or they had to volunteer for the city or for the state, and that number dropped by 80%. It was 11,900 guys that were on that, and by the time they implemented this program, it was down to 2,000
because they had to either work to keep it.
They had either find work or work for the state.
Work for, but not really work, but
do something, volunteer, cleaning up parks. They have to do something. They have to do something for it. Where most of these takers now, we've talked about this, the takers outnumber the makers. And when you're getting, let's just say $50,000 a year to not do anything, it's hard for these people to get out of the mindset of, why would I do something?
So what I see is people are literally, some people literally think they're desperate.
Mm-hmm.
They're desperate. They begin to look at themselves and say, what's wrong with me? How can I get on this disability? Then they watch their Judge Joe Brown, in the middle of the day, and that lawyer comes on. He says, you want me on Social Security? You call me, I'll get you on there. Boom, and the process starts. And not only are they draining the system when they shouldn't have been on it, but Social Security has to pay their attorney fees. Their attorney actually gets paid out of the same money. So people need to quit looking for the escape and look at what made America great, which is people finding something to do.
Yeah. So, but to Lance, that we call able-bodied, JP has his own terminology.
The tabs.
Yeah.
The temporarily able-bodied, the tabs.
Eventually, you're going to be disabled.
Remember that real bad soda pop in the 80s called Tab?
Yep.
I think people died of cancer from drinking like half a can of it. Tab.
But so for what you're talking about in that that study, those are able-bodied. So now take it to a disabled level where you think about somebody who, and if you've been around anybody very much disabled, JP, I had to say is an exception to the rule because a lot of them, and I think you might fight this sometimes. Sometimes you get reserved or in a situation where you don't speak out for yourself.
Right.
Because that's very typical of the handicap community. So those people get super scared to lose their benefits.
Right. I believe in speaking up. And that's not the case in my community. We are so disenfranchised and so conditioned to believe in our own helplessness that when somebody bullies us on Facebook, most of us will cower down.
Yep.
Not me. I will stand up figuratively, no literal standing going on, but and face this bully, like I said on Facebook, or this challenge before me, because I believe with all my heart that everybody has something that they were put on this earth to do. I believe that my disability was meant to happen. I was born prematurely. I got cerebral palsy from a lack of oxygen at birth. only weighed a couple pounds at birth, but I developed, I survived, and thrived. And now I think I'm an example for others like me, and show that, hey, you don't have to be helpless. You don't have to be conditioned to live on this small amount. You find something you love, you go get it. You don't let nothing hold you back. You don't let nothing keep you from getting to that end goal, and you don't convince yourself that you're only worth $551 a month.
Yeah, well, and it goes for the able body, to what you're speaking to.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's what we are. Is we're trying to show the world that we are one family, one world. I shared a story with somebody the other day about Bruce Lee that came out of that movie, and he talked about that fight he had. You know, China sent this warrior to fight him, literally, to quit teaching non-Chinese his martial arts.
Yeah, that's right.
And he had to fight this guy in a literal fight. Of course, Bruce Lee beat the crap out of him because he's Bruce Lee, for God's sake. But he had mercy on the guy and said to his wife later, he said, you know, everybody under the sky is one family. And I believe that. I think that people with disabilities think that's not always the case. You know, here's a good story. There's been so many times that people have come into my office and they've seen pictures of my kids and they go, hey, are those your nephews or your cousins? Because they don't think that some actual intercourse happened and a person with a disability was involved in making other human beings, because we're thought of as asexual. We're thought of as a sidebar to the other human.
No, it's very typical.
So all of that contributes to the mindset that I'm less than. And then I started to say, well, I am helpless. And then the learn helplessness is set in. So it's something that, and it's not something I just made my mind up one day that it doesn't affect me. It's something that I deal with every day to think, okay, one more round. One more round. I got one more round.
So for me, being around Dickie for basically my whole life, but like with your kids, Dirk's got 2 kiddos, but he's a very disciplined father.
Yeah.
And if your son comes up to you and goes, hey, I need you to do this for me, Dad, what are you going to say to him?
It depends what it is.
Well, it's something that it's within his capability of doing. How's that?
I'm not. Do it yourself.
That's right.
Why are you asking me?
You see my point. So like that's the same mindset that we try to bring to the disabled community, because it's broken. It's so broken.
So broken.
It falls into our able body, like you're talking about. Lance is talking about that study with all those people. It falls into that category. Some of those people really think that they can't do anything else,
right?
Or they couldn't go make more money.
And who's hurt most by the people Lance is mentioning? The disabled people.
Yep, because it's taken away from them.
Right, exactly.
Right, the people who need it. And
these benefits, I don't think any of one of us want to get rid of them. We want them to be hyper-focused on people that truly can't work and get those that can to work, including people with disabilities that can work.
Yep.
Because work is so much more than a paycheck. It's the very lifeblood of what we do. You know, it's the second. What's your first question people ask you when they meet you? What's your name, right?
Sure.
What's the next question?
What do you do?
What do you do? Well, I learned firsthand that I sit home and draw Social Security. You know, the chances of bringing that girl home just went way down. Right? Am I right?
Yeah, no, it's true. This is true.
Well, you said it earlier, JP. The system we live in, unfortunately, now is designed to keep people in that. This learned helplessness to keep people able-bodied in.
Right. Right. And we could debate whether that was by design or if it just defaulted to that. And I think that it's a little bit of both. I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Well, I'm gonna be the super drastic guy. So like that's it always drives people crazy. I'm very conservative in lots of my thought processes, but socially, I'm not conservative anymore. I think of things totally different. But we are truly handcuffing our people today, because we just give them everything. Everything's given to them today. And Dirk wouldn't do that with your kids. You know, you wouldn't do that with your kids, Lance. JP doesn't do that with his kids. Do stuff around the house constantly. I walk in today and Ethan's in there. But that's the problem that I see. And certainly goes in the handicap world. We're not going to solve the able body world.
Not only are we teaching people not to do anything, we're actually penalizing them when they do something. Oh, you worked? We're cutting their benefits off.
Yeah,
cut them off.
Yep.
Oh well, I won't work again. Don't cut them off.
Right.
So here's my most radical idea, guys. The truly disabled that are on Social Security disability, let them keep it forever. The full check. Let them earn unlimited amounts of money. Think of all the taxes they pay. That $1,000, that $700 they're getting will help them pay for their PCA. They help them get dressed in the morning, pay for their handicap van. And instead, when they go to work, we cut their check off. So a lot of them quit working immediately because they want that blanket.
Yeah.
So let them keep it. Let them keep that because they're truly disabled. It costs a damn lot of money.
Well, share that. Let them know what it costs.
Like me, for example. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., there's going to be a very nice 22-year-old young lady that's going to, thank you, gonna show up at my front door, assist me in my preparations for the morning, and I'm going to pay her a ridiculous $18 per hour to do that. $18 an hour.
And that's not on a government program.
No, that's straight out of my pocket. And then when I get home, she's going to show back up and she's going to help me with the shower and with personal things in the evening. And then we're going to start again in the morning. So, I'll just do the math right there. 5 or 6 hours. We're talking over $100 a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's what you have to pay.
And yeah, that's out of pocket.
Yeah.
100%.
That's crazy.
And so the truly disabled, it costs a lot of money. This wheelchair to get worked on, going through the insurance on that, getting a wheelchair. This wheelchair right here is about a little under $30,000. This wheelchair right here is a little under $30,000. And they're even more expensive. They have them to stand up.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they get way more expensive.
Speak on that. But yeah, I don't want to discourage work because somebody's scared of this safety blanket.
I agree. I don't know that that's that radical of an idea. I mean, are the government?
It is when you're talking to the people in D.C.
Right. Absolutely. I get it. But we need to get away from assisting people who don't need it and helping people who do.
Right. Exactly. You got it.
Yeah. No, that's dead on.
When FDR came up with Social Security, he wasn't talking to those people with fibromyalgia, guys. Social Security was made for the truly disabled.
That's it.
One of my favorite politicians is Dr. Tom Coburn, and he loved that phrase, the truly disabled. And people always tell me, aren't you bothered by that? I said, no, I love that phrase. I love that phrase, truly disabled, because when all the able-bodied that have an earache get on disability, it takes away from the people that should be getting it. And just because that attorney talked them into it, it doesn't make it right. If you have time, go back and watch Dr. Coburn when he did 60 Minutes and exposed the fraud in Social Security in that county in Kentucky, where they had like 80% of the people in that county were on disability. And it's just, they had a doctor's office set up in the lawyer's office. The guy's name was Michael Kahn. How appropriate is that?
Kahn man.
Kahn. That was the lawyer's name. He had judges on the payroll because he was getting a cut out of everybody's Social Security for the rest of their lives. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and Coburn exposed all that. And I really do miss him because he was a great guy, and he actually, the disabled crucified him. They thought he was against it, but he was never against it.
No,
he was for them.
He's trying to inspire, or maybe that's a bad word. He's trying to get them to do it themselves.
Because you know what the typical mindset is? The typical mindset is, well, where do we draw the line?
Yeah. Right.
Well, by God, I'll show you where you draw the line. You draw the line at the obvious place.
Yep.
If you need a lawyer to get on disability, then you need to get to work. You need to go check out Little Caesars. Shout out to Little Caesars Pizza Cooks, wherever, and get to work. Target, Walmart.
Are these loopholes that people are beating, or is it just
some of it
set up? It's so broad that I mean, really,
It's that.
you used, hearing. Is
Yeah.
that a drastic example, or people that
Oh,
are hard of hearing
no,
like
no,
disability?
no. There's
That's a good question.
a lot your sensory disabilities, blindness, deafness. You're going to be able to get on benefits. Your orthopedic disabilities like mine. The gray area, the lawyers really come in when you have people with the fibromyalgias, the chronic pain,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that's hard to quantify. That's when they exhaustively go to more doctor's visits. Those things get really sticky, and I don't know if the ALJs, if the administrative law judges simply give up after a while, but a lot of these people get on benefits, and it's truly maddening. And then you run across somebody that I think should be on benefits, and then for some reason didn't get on some. It makes no sense, but yeah.
I think it's hard, but to your point, I think it's gotten so broad that it's not. I don't even know if it's a loophole anymore.
Right.
I mean, I think it's like it's so easy to fill out the paperwork. I mean, to get a handicap spot.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you do it once, then you have to do it again.
That's
I mean,
right.
the government works.
But you
That's
know
right.
the codes.
Because then it's segregation. So
That's exactly right.
my friend's hard of hearing. He
The-
has a check. Why don't I
Yeah.
get one?
That's exactly
And the
right.
code simply says the actual code, and if you look up Social Security Act, the first thing it says is must be too disabled to do any known job in the United States of America. That's the first thing it says today.
Oh, it does say that.
That should be the
That's
benchmark then.
crazy.
There are people on benefits that I know damn good and well could and should be working. So we have moved away from the spirit and the letter of the actual Social Security Act, in my opinion, and it's to the detriment of the truly disabled.
Sure. Well, the learned helplessness, that goes into, again, everybody, and it's personal responsibility in our time has gone away. Nobody wants to be personally responsible anymore. They want somebody else to be taking care of them. And unfortunately, we're taking care of people who don't need to be taken care of. They can take care of themselves.
Learned helplessness is the PC way to say entitled, or is it vice versa?
Well, no. So, I mean, if you were to look up the definition of learned helplessness, and JP may have to help me on this a little bit, but
All right.
it's basically, there's actually done studies on it. You'll see studies if you go look online, and it's like with mice. But basically, you do something for them over and over. So, a perfect
the
example.
conditioning.
Yeah, a perfect example is how you treat your kids, because I've seen it. That you won't do it for them, you make them do it. But if you do that for them over and over and over again, you've trained them to be helpless at that. So I'll give you an example. A little girl that was at a house, and she needed a drink of water, and she's like, "Hey, I want a drink of water." She's handicapped. She's in a wheelchair. She could wheel over to the refrigerator and fill that water cup herself, but her mom did it for her over and over. So that girl didn't know how to do it, or didn't have the will to do it, because all she had to say was, "Hey, I need a cup of water," and it would happen for her.
Right.
So I read up a little bit on this before he came, because you said we're going to be talking about this, and it started out with dogs. They did the studies on dogs.
That's it.
And they did it with the shock collar. And so these dogs, what they would do is they would have a negative stimuli. They'd get shocked, and they couldn't get out. So they eventually learned that even in situations where they could get out of it and escape from it, they would stay in the situation where they're getting shocked. When they went on to humans, they used loud noises, and they would put them in a situation where they couldn't get out, couldn't do something, and they were getting these loud noises. Well, it conditioned them. It is a form of classical conditioning, where even when they saw a way out, an escape, they stayed where they were because of learned helplessness.
And that's it in a nutshell. They see the way out, but I can't give up this safety blanket. I can't give up this check. I can't do it. It's just it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. That's the mindset that we're battling against. And all these. Here's the other part of this: the government programs that are charged with putting the disabled to work have got to step up. They've got to put people to work at a livable wage.
Yeah, and they've got to. I go even a little further. And I don't know whose responsibility is, because again, I'm the drastic guy, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is like people are like, "Hey, how do you solve these problems?" People don't want to hear my answer, because that's like cut it all off,
right,
and start over,
right,
and let the good-hearted people of the world, the churches or whatever, the people, the human beings, restructure it in a manner that should be done appropriately. That's not going to happen. So we have to figure
That's
out another
even
way.
wilder than my keep your Social Security check theory.
Yeah, it's pretty. I know it's pretty dang wild. But but how do you get them now? How do you see the way out? So how do you get them to push them that way? And you said the government needs to do more, but they need to not just do more there. They need to do more with how to do.
For me,
A lost art in high school today, or anything, is for somebody to how to wash their clothes, how to write a check, how to balance a checkbook. And those are very basic things. But in the handicap world is, how do I go to work and stay at work where I don't get a pressure wound because I'm sitting at work all day. Whatever those things are, nobody's educating them.
Education, I think that's the key right there.
But how do you do it? You know,
nobody's addressing things like work hardening.
What is that?
Work hardening is, am I going to be able to sit here at a desk and not get overly fatigued? You know, am I at the right height? Am I going to be able to concentrate for 8 hours?
Am I in the right chair?
Yeah, am I in the right chair?
Yeah.
Those kind of things that people aren't ready for. But I think the biggest need is seeing somebody like you working. For me, in my hometown, my sophomore year, we hired a basketball coach with cerebral palsy. It was milder than mine. I mean, he just had a way too cool of a walk. But
a Josh Blue walk.
Yeah, like a Josh Blue walk with the hand.
Yeah.
The hand. CP guys know what I'm talking about. For the CP guys out there, I just gotta see the hand. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I saw this guy with CP that was a basketball coach, and I thought, holy shit, he's working. I mean, I can really do this. So I think it's important to not only have my parents as an example of what's expected to work, but also seeing somebody who sounded like me, who moved like me, actually doing something, coaching basketball, chewing referees out, you know, all the things that make life grand. And so we need to get some mentoring going on. We need to get some people seeing other people working, some ideas being shared in environments where people aren't scared to say, you know what, I think I could be a media guy, or you know what, I think I could be a computer programmer, or whatever the real want is. When you start to voice that, you hear the learned helplessness say, don't do that, don't do that. You're going to screw your Social Security up, or you're going to screw your DHS benefit up. Just stay where you are, and maybe you can tear tickets at the AMC or something.
Right.
Where's the breakdown? Because, I mean, from experience, I'm fortunate that my son goes to a school here in Edmond that, let me back up, where we went to school, and when JP talked about it a little bit from his small town perspective, he would go to Norman to do things.
Right.
The disabled in our school, they were totally segregated.
Totally segregated from us all
day long. Yeah. They were in one classroom with one teacher all the time.
And thank God I wasn't in that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that would be
but it's not like that. Well, from what I'm experiencing now, the kids, Keaton has children in his classrooms that are disabled, and he gets to learn to help them. And
it's helpful.
I love
That's
it. Because,
great. That's great because when we were coming up, like you said, it wasn't like that.
No,
Let me tell you, if anybody tried to put me in a special ed room, I would rip their eyelids off with my teeth.
Yeah, I mean, I get some of it because you want the smart kids to learn. Yeah. But then they brought in AP courses, so there was already some, I'm using quotation, segregation.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
But now it seems that the kids that are disabled are in the class. They're learning with the class. They don't disrupt the class. That they usually have someone helping them, and it flows. It goes real well. They go on the field trips. You know, the kids, you can see them interacting with the disabled just like they're normal kids.
That's going to help generations.
That's what we call progress right there. That's what will move this thing forward. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's what's great. But see, we're talking about now the learned helplessness. Where does that come in? Because the children nowadays, and maybe it's just this one school.
I think you see it more schools. I think you are, Dickie.
The biggest violator of this is certainly going to be the parents. The parents of the disabled. because they want, and most of the time they're well intentioned. Sometimes not, but most of the time well intentioned, that they want to protect, protect, protect. And it's a fast track to a lifetime of learned helplessness.
But what you're asking, though, is, I think, is what's happened in just society in general.
Yeah.
So in general, we've gone to, well, think about us. Dickie and I grew up together. So think about us as kids. We came home we rode our bike to school. I literally rode like on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'd come back, and I did everything by myself. I learned how to do everything.
Oh yeah.
I know you can't have a disabled kid just do everything, but that their cultures change. I mean, the culture in general today, we talk about the greatest generation and how their mindset was. The people, say it, they're weaker today than we were. Not just us, but other generations, the older generations.
Well, you think about just weird stories like somebody let their kid go to the park unsupervised,
right?
And then they get somebody knocking on their door and they're getting negligence, not charges, but accused of negligence. And when we were kids, what did? We were all over the place.
We weren't allowed to come home until the light
yes, right.
started flickering.
That's right.
And if it was fully on and you weren't home,
you're in trouble.
I was in trouble. But if it was flickering, you were in the good.
But and we talked about a little bit last time, what a gift that our parents gave us,
right?
To be. I'm definitely the person I am today, partially from the fact that my parents gave me the gift of learning how to do everything myself.
Right.
I mean, I had to figure it all out. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah. And being blessed that we're able to do so.
No, that's right. But in the disabled community, it's just times 10.
Yeah, when Az really dug into my early upbringing.
I kept bringing you back there.
And when I had to stop and literally talk about the fact that I literally army crawled around as a kindergartner, and how when I actually said that, I thought, how weird is that? Now that I think about it. But it was so great because nothing was stopping me.
That's right.
Nothing was stopping me. I mean, I was doing everything and I was so competitive that if anybody thought I was riding the short bus, so to speak, or I was special ed, I didn't want to be in the group. I wanted to smash the group. Who's the smartest guy here? I want a better GPA than him, and I will have it. So that fire is quenched early sometimes because they get shuffled into these rooms and these groups. But I'm so excited to hear what Dickie's saying about his kid's school where there is
that's
integration. Cool. One of the things I do every year is I go in Dale City High School calls me in once a year to speak with this. They call them the mod group, the men of distinction. This is a group of sophomores through seniors who are doing well and they want to learn about disability. And one of the things they do throughout the day is they have time where they go into the special ed room and help the Special Eagles, Dale City Eagles. And I said, well, first thing, guys, we need to shit can that name, Special Damn Eagles. Okay? Now, if you're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, yeah, they ride the short bus because I'm a Cowboys fan. But
is there a shorter bus for Cowboy fans?
That's right. We ride a horse, man. We're riding our horse in town.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Leaving piles everywhere.
That explains a lot.
So the mindset is at first these guys were saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to help these Special Eagles," and then I said, "Hey, these Special Eagles, they want to talk about sports and they want to talk about everything, girls and everything you guys want to talk about. You're not going in there to help them and to wipe their face when they're eating their bologna sandwich or whatever. You want to be their friends."
Yeah, so the sad part, that program, I love to hear it, what you're talking about with your kids being around it.
I do too.
But there's a key component that misses sometimes, which is, it's like a token to have the handicap. You don't want it to be that way. You want it to be real, because it can it can actually do the opposite effect if they're just in the classroom, but we're not truly treating them the same. And we're not truly doing, I mean, JP can't do certain things.
Right.
Ray physically can't do them. So
True.
we went to UFC, and my buddy who was with us, he's a quad. And whenever he wanted a drink of his beer, he would nudge me. I'd grab the beer and put it in his hand. That's not learned helplessness.
Right. And
Does
for
that make
me,
sense?
by
Yeah,
the way,
she
for
can't
me,
do it.
He
And
can't
for
do it.
me,
That's right.
for me, I'm good until beer 14, and then I'm nudging Steve at that point.
Well, he gave me 12 of them. He only had 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell anybody that? My bad, JP.
Right,
Yeah, he had all 14.
I love it.
But so that's the problem. I mean, it's certainly wonderful to see that in the school programs, and it's wonderful to see that. But to truly have them embrace the fact that they should be us going to the bar when we go with JP, right? We go to the bar and we all hanging out and drinking together.
And I'll be the one looking for the high table because I want to use my elevator. No,
Yeah,
we'll
he
take
wants to show off.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
But he's taller than Steven.
It's not. We're not taking JP with us just because we want to look good.
Well, they do like the parking spots.
I do. That's true. We did talk about that last time. It's like, hey, I can just go right up front. Hell yeah.
Premium parking.
But it's truly because the friendship,
Right.
and that's where
right.
you hope that those kids in that classroom, and no matter what, even if they have some bad things that come from it, there's probably way more good that comes from that.
Way more good.
Yeah,
And
just to be around it.
I can tell you from my time in El Reno, when I traveled with the basketball team, we talked about Melvin Imitachi last time. Coach, famed retired coach from El Reno, Redlands Community College. His apprehensiveness when I requested to travel with the team, and 6 months later when these guys are tossing me into the reworked prison van that we used to get from game to game, and how much camaraderie we had, and how much coach held me to the same standard, whether it was my job to be keeping stats or whatever, because he learned that, number one, I'm not beholden to learn helplessness, and number two, I'm a regular guy, and I want to be held accountable. I want to be held accountable by the same standards that you hold everyone else to.
Yep.
I want to be measured by the same measuring stick that you measured that other guy next to, so I can show you that I'm actually more indispensable than that other guy.
Well, you may have to get the tools to help you do that.
Right. There may have to be accommodations to level the playing field.
Right.
But once that playing field is level, let me show you how valuable I can be.
Yep. And do it better than everybody else. We talked about that.
Right.
Do you think corporate America is scared of the handicap?
Amen.
And I say that because, first, the society we live in today is so litigious. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
So as a corporation, you have to look at the lawsuits you're going to get
It's real.
Handed to you because you weren't provided with what you need, and then there's an argument, and then you might get let go. So is it?
Yeah, they're scared.
They're scared.
I'll tell you, they won't tell
But
you
there's
that. They're
there's
scared.
before you get a job, you have to sign the law that they're gonna hire anybody without prejudice.
Right.
But
equal opportunity.
Yeah.
When you go in, there's zero of that.
Zero.
There's all the handicap parking in the front, and they're all empty.
We talked about the fact. We talked about the fact that I had applied at Remington Park. Let's just say it again, in the 90s, and at that time they had it was a media relations job, and at that time they had full handicap access as a patron, but their media relations department was upstairs with no elevator because they never envisioned hiring someone who was disabled.
Right. And
people said, well, why did, and they had to interview me in a restaurant on site, and I didn't get the job. People said, well, why didn't you sue them? And I said, because who's really going to sue? In my opinion, people do it. But for me, I'm not suing somebody over a $25K a year job that I probably would have been in court for 2 years with. If I won, they'd have to remodel their whole layout. So yeah, the person with a disability today has to blow the interview away, has to be super qualified because even when they want to hire you, there's going to be a level of fear.
Well, but to expand on that is, and my thought process for it, and I certainly could be wrong, but you have to, for the people who are handicapped, they have to start just like anybody else at the bottom somewhere. And then you got to prove your worth over and over. There's been several programs that allowed you to hire disabled people, and basically the program would pay for that employee for a period of time.
Yeah.
And I did that. I went to hire those people. Amazing program. They would pay for them. I didn't pay anything as an employer. But guess what? Those people didn't want to come to work. So if we're going to put it and set it up for them, they've got to do that extra, just like anybody else, right? Just like anybody else.
I think we lost.
Yeah, I think we lost JP for a second. To that, Dirk, you were talking about being in a litigious society. We do, and you're right. There's so many things going on there, and then yeah. So ultimately, we do. We're in a society now where it seems to be broadening. Everybody's kind of swept into this, and people get nervous about what they can and can't do. And JP's talking about going to Remington Park, applying for the job, and they ask him, "Hey, why didn't you sue him?" What if JP wasn't the best candidate at that time? Now, sure, you're awesome, JP, so I'm sure you were, but that's where.
Who knows?
Yeah, but who knows? And so it may not have been the reason that they didn't hire you.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep, you're good.
So, anyways.
So that's it. I mean, there's a risk factor for me. So I want to be number one. I want to be where I'm wanted, and I want to be where I can show my skills the best. So I didn't like the idea of looking around at people that I had to sue to get there.
Right.
Even if I was the best candidate, who knows? But it showed that there's a major employer who not negligently, not maliciously, but designed themselves to be accessible and just didn't think about hiring. Because people just, at that time especially, didn't think about hiring people like me. So my advice to people is make yourself above and beyond. Make yourself ridiculously qualified. I always say when I interview that when I leave the interview, I want them to be saying, how in the hell can we not hire this guy? I mean, it's over. It's a wrap. Are we seriously not going to, do we need to finish the other interviews? That's what I'm going for. Because I want to blow them away, and I want them to think, okay, we're getting ready to hire our first guy in a wheelchair. Here we go.
Yep.
Yep. And that's not any different than anybody, any able-bodied
person.
Sure.
Same way.
Too. And that's the example that we want to discuss, is we're all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
Yep.
We should be, unless we're too engulfed in learned helplessness.
Yep.
And that's when it really starts to hurt us.
Now, you brought something up earlier, JP, about it starts with the parents. And that's really anything, right? So this is going to be a hard point probably for me to articulate, but we'll take able-bodied and totally disabled people. You have moms and dads or parents out there who, whether it's an only child situation or whether it's just they love their children and this is how they love them, they don't know any different, they can do everything for them and ultimately through not something they want to do, but they ultimately teach that kid learned helplessness, able-bodied or totally disabled.
Yep.
So how do you differentiate? It's you got to talk to those parents.
That's a great point. And I've even actually ran into people in which you have generational learned helplessness.
Yep.
Where the parents are actually on some sort of government assistance and the children are. They've grown up where all of their groceries have come from food stamps or the SNAP program.
Yep.
Their whole life.
Yep.
So then the children actually think, well, that's how life is. So then you have that extra layer of to get through, and that's when you need someone in that person's life to be what I call constant presence. To keep reiterating, hey, you can break through this. Hey, there's the exit. You can get there. I know you're afraid, but just take the first step.
Now,
Take the first step.
food stamps, though, would be welfare, correct? Because there's disability and then there's welfare.
Yeah, but there's a lot of times they go hand in hand.
Yep.
A lot of people that are on disability also qualify for food assistance. What we used to call food stamps, now we call it SNAP program,
Okay.
supplemental nutrition assistance
Well,
program.
Yeah, WIC
Yeah.
is a welfare. I mean, it wouldn't be considered anything to do with disability either. It's
Well, not
women and children.
exclusively. Not exclusively.
No,
But you have
no.
access
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, but you're right.
Right.
To even get so to answer your question, to even get on a disabled program with the state, at least in the state of Oklahoma, you have to be on what they call Title IX program, 19 waiver 19. I'm going to mess it up, but you have to be on regular Medicaid to even qualify for that other program.
Okay.
So you would have both typically to answer that question.
Yeah, which is different than Social Security that I spoke on. But
Yeah,
But
that is different. In
a
Social
lot of
Security.
times, a lot of times they go. A lot of people, like for example, SSI. There's two disability programs that Social Security pays. One is called Social Security Disability. That's what you hear more about. Disability.
That's the common.
I'm
most
on
common.
disability. Now, here's the caveat, guys. That's not an entitlement program. That's for people that have worked. That's an insurance. Social Security Disability Insurance.
So they work for a period of time.
That's actually people that have worked. If they've never worked, then it's Supplemental Security Income or SSI. That's what I was on. Because when I was on it, I hadn't worked before, so I hadn't paid in. So what happens, though, is you get people that I don't consider to be truly disabled, but have worked and paid in. And then they get the attorney and get on the disability insurance, which drains the system and then makes it harder. Now that, like, for example, they're talking about cutting benefits for everybody to make it last longer. So now the truly disabled are going to be hit because we got a lot of people that really could be working, drawing the benefits.
Right.
So, yeah, but almost everybody on SSI that hasn't worked is also qualifying for food program and other benefits like that.
Okay, so they qualify that
So
if they're
they're
on that.
so low.
Because
which
their
is
income
supposed
would
to be a temporary program.
I don't know. With
It's,
Wicked,
it's assistance. So you're assisting
Yeah,
someone
not
until
the
they get on
not
their feet.
not the food program though.
Okay.
is that can be full time all time.
Yeah, that can be now WIC, and I think that stuff
It might be short term.
and TANF, sending needy families. I think Clinton in the '90s, great decade, guys.
It's good enough. It's when I was in college.
He came out with Bill actually came out with the welfare work stuff that actually got a lot of people off the rolls. I think that's all been undone now. But back then, actually made some headway in that regard. But yeah, many times people that are on disability, especially SSI, also get food help and housing help. You heard of like Section 8?
Mhm.
You ever heard that
Yeah,
phrase?
yeah.
People get to stay somewhere for $25. They're scared to work. I don't want my $25 rent to go up. All of these things have people tied into just staying where they are.
Yep.
Just staying where they are instead of blasting through that door.
So I told you my solution. Nobody likes it, obviously, right?
Cut off,
Right,
cut it
yeah.
all off. Yeah,
Yeah,
start
yeah.
over. That's actually probably what the best idea. But to that point,
Well,
how
if
do
you,
you-
so
it's
if you
impossible.
go, that's true. So what are some? I mean, you guys seen? I know JP's pricing stuff, but from your guys' perspective, who haven't been around that, obviously have opinions on it. But
Yeah.
is there something that you would see that you think would help?
Well, I mean, I don't like bigger government. We talked, we're I think all in this room fairly conservative. But so when I use this word, it's kind of a dirty word. But how do we regulate those people who are using attorneys who are able-bodied to get on it? How do we stop that from happening? And one of the
How about we just say no attorney, no litigation in the disability process?
That's not popular though.
But that
It's
but that also
not.
but that also takes away. There's going to be you're going to have gray areas and outliers who may need that in a different way. They've got a weird situation, right? That they need an attorney for or whatever.
That's how it all started.
Right,
That's
slippery
how it all
slope.
started, yeah.
And then to your question though, Steve, they did something here in Oklahoma that was you had people on both sides of the deal on this. I think it was welfare, some sort of welfare where they were drug tested. And to me, depending on what it is, I think that's a good thing, because if you're going to assist somebody, you want them to be able to help themselves. And if they're not doing things to help themselves, and what I mean is, this isn't against somebody who's doing that kind of stuff, but if they're on assistance and they're using that money for something other than what it's meant for, or whatever, then that's kind of it's not a, to
It's
me,
not a stretch.
right.
Yeah.
It's not okay. And so, we talked about this. back in college. You loan some guy some money, right? And he's going to pay you back $50. Next thing you know, you see him out at the bar and he's got all this disposable income, doesn't pay you back. I kind of liken it to that. I know that's weird.
It's kind of like I learned this in El Reno. Food stamp day, we could hang out at the post office and get a lot more groceries than we were planning on having.
Yep.
Because all the people that were on the food stamps would be saying, "Hey, here's $60 worth of food stamps for $30."
Right.
And then we're heading to what's the grocery store?
Beechlers.
We're heading to Beechlers. Me and Dana Coburn. Shout out to Dana Coburn. If you're out there listening.
You double your money. Money.
So yeah, when people are abusing the system, but I think we need to actually look at and this is not popular with my peers where I work, but we need to look at how people are getting eligible, and we need to say, are these people truly unable to work, and are these people within the culture of disability? There's two kinds of people I'm thinking of: the disabled, who have some kind of condition that is a barrier or a inconvenience, legitimate condition. And then there's people who are in the culture of disability. These people whose disability is so profound that every single decision they make all day, their disability has to be considered. And that's me.
Yep.
Am I going to have a table to sit at? Am I going to have a place to use the bathroom? Am I going to have a place? Az and I went to a place here a while back. You might have saw it. If you go back and watch our review of Fassler Hall. Great place, by the way. I look forward to going back. He went to the restroom because he pees every 5 minutes. And
Well, he lasted 5 minutes.
Wow. I know. He got the prostate to go down a little bit, I guess.
Size of a pea.
So he goes to the bathroom, and what's the first thing I said when he got back is, how was the bathroom? Said I want to make a mental note where I'm at to say, am I going to need to be able to take a leak here if I need to? I want to know if I'm on the road. Okay, there's 6 bathrooms within a 5-mile radius that I know about that I can use fairly easily. So yeah, so those are the people that I think the disability program was meant for and should stay for.
And the mental side.
And
right.
the mental side, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm kind of hyper-focused on orthopedic disabilities and sensory, but also the severely impairments. Mental impairments can be just as severe and just as necessary for benefits.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I see that a lot.
So you were talking about, JP, you're talking about looking at those. We need to look at those and kind of, I'm assuming, weed out the people who don't necessarily need it. But if we want to execute on that, right, you have to either form a division, right, of somebody who comes in and audits those people, and that costs money, and that's you know what I mean. That just adds to the government program.
Lance wants more government.
No, I don't. I certainly don't. I'm just.
Remember my point.
Go ahead and write that down. Lance wants more government.
Remember my point about letting the truly disabled stay on their benefits
right.
even after they work.
Yeah.
Well, here's another reason why that should happen. Social Security Administration employs hundreds of people whose only job is to check and see if somebody's working. That's their only job.
So they can cut the benefits. If we weed it down to the truly disabled, we don't need those people. Well, why wouldn't we just say this? Okay, if you're on disability and you do work, you just got a 20% increase to your disability check.
Well, now you're really talking about it.
Is that stupid or does that make sense?
No, but you have to police who goes on the disability is the problem.
Right.
Well,
but
true.
But
he's saying after we did that, right? After we got it down to who should be.
Yeah. Well, we had to do some policing, but we want people to work in America. Because
it's called incentives, right? You do that anyway.
Correct. There's going to be more taxes that get paid, which is going to fund disability even more.
Work, yeah.
So instead of taking it away when they get a job, why not give them a raise?
Yep.
Say, hey, you got a job. Well, you're going to get more disability.
Incentivize them.
Sure. Somebody's going to work. Now we're getting tax money to the system.
Right.
They never was there.
You've taken a tax burden and you made it a tax asset.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, no.
It's not rocket science.
And I got a disclaimer here, guys. I don't like the government. I'm talking about execution. How do we do it? This is just talking.
Did Lance just say he wants to execute people?
Now he wants more government and executions.
Yeah.
Wow.
decrease the
So,
surface population.
basically, what he just said is families can only have one male child.
And we'll take that if we have to. I'm going to start my executions with the 3 guys in this room right now.
I love it. Handicap media, folks.
Yeah, there it is.
But that's what this is about. This I call it a movement because that's what I feel it is.
Right.
Is like if you watch the vlogs and you watch the things we're doing and this weekend, Lance and I probably had too many beers. Way too many.
I didn't have any beers, folks.
But the reality was is when we start doing that, you start talking about stuff, and we're talking about the handicap world because he's obviously interested in it, and so we start getting in the middle of that. But that's the thing is that this is what this movement is about, is to change the mindset. Because when you watch those vlogs, they're supposed to be fun. There's a lot of serious shit going on in the world, but it's supposed to be fun because it can be fun, and the exposure there needs to be different. We look at all these other handicap things that are going on. You can go to YouTube and look up stuff and look at junk. It's all just boring as hell.
Oh, so boring.
Yeah.
And everybody,
it's a robot. Nobody's going to listen to it.
The thing that gets me is when in the world of politics, there's so many people that shut down as soon as they hear the source of an idea is from another political persuasion than the one they like. They won't even listen to it. Right? So, I'm disabled, so I got to be way over here on the left. Or I'm not disabled, so I got to be way over here on the right. So the idea is, the thing that made this country so great is we actually used to talk with each other. Yep. I was sitting in my friend, did I say that, my friend? Well, I guess I did. Dr. Coburn's office one day, and he was telling me that his website got shut down because he put on his website that he supported one of Obama's gun laws or gun ideas. Something Obama supported, Dr. Coburn supported. And he got so many hits on his website that it crashed it. And
people mad.
Because
people are mad.
Because he accidentally sided with the wrong side. And the idea is that we need to stop and think for a change. Think for a change and look at all sides instead of this. Okay, we see your voting record. You voted with the right one time, the Dems kick you out. Okay, you voted with the left one time, the Repuffs kick you out. So let's put our heads together to tell people you don't have to be a certain way. Look at every idea for its potential. When we said some of the more conservative things tonight, some people might have thought, oh, forget this. But those ideas could spark the next thing to really raise the disabled up to where they need to be.
Yeah, people get offended too easily.
So easily.
Discussion, really meaningful discussion, talking about it, sitting down, that doesn't happen a whole lot anymore.
No.
People get offended, or you said the wrong thing, just like JP saying, you're from the right.
No, I'm sure we've offended plenty of people tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
we probably did.
I used to be uncomfortable when Dickie would roll in wearing that helmet and the balloons.
That's right.
Now I'm totally comfortable.
There we go. But it's pin a tail on his donkey every night, right?
But you have to. That's how you break the barriers. Is to laugh and have those things.
Exactly.
And get rid of them, and then the awareness comes.
The
out.
best comedy to me is people like Richard Pryor or George Carlin that would talk about things that are kind of not funny, but they're funny.
Oh,
and they
they're
break
funny.
the ice. They really break the ice because you actually say things that you're thinking about, but most people tell you don't say them.
That's right.
And we're so caught up in that political correctness that we look stupid. Did you see the guy? And I'm a big Marvel guy. I like all the Marvel movies.
They're superior.
It's a debate.
DC Marvel. Or no DC Marvel debate, but the guy that plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
He went to a Halloween party. You hear about this?
No.
He goes to a Halloween party as Tonto and Lone Ranger. Okay, and he got so blasted on his Twitter for for dressing in a so-called Native American costume that he issued this, several paragraphs apology that I will never do this again. I'm so sorry. Come on, if we're so worried about that, I'm sorry, but that's what's holding us back. I watched a documentary the other day on Tom Landry, great Cowboys coach. Some people call him, God of football coaching. I don't know. But the man in the hat.
Never heard that.
Yeah, like one or two people, or
Man in the hat.
2 people in this room.
He's talking about Dicka. He's talking about Dicka. Right?
No, Dicka.
Oh, yeah.
It was also a Cowboys tight end, right?
That's right.
No, Landry had this commercial where he goes into this saloon and he goes to order a drink and he pulls out his American Express and he says, "Take your American Express wherever you go because you never know when you're going to end up surrounded by Redskins." And then it shows all these Redskin football players surrounding him,
Yeah.
And they were talking about how offensive this commercial is now. And to me, I think it's like that guy Bill Maher said. He said they polled 1,000 Native Americans about Thor's costume, and guess what? Nobody gives a shit. According to Bill Maher. So I think we're so caught up. The left actually cuts their nose off, spite their face because they're so worried about policing everything.
Yep.
And nobody's really offended.
Well,
I'm not offended by wheelchair stuff.
Or the jokes that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
well, you look at intent. People, it's hard, but people are looking nowadays to be offended by something, just to be able to complain.
Oh,
We live in a society where people love to complain
nobody wants to be segregated, but everybody loves to segregate
themselves. That's exactly right. That's a
right.
good
I
point.
mean,
That's a
it's
good point.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what I always say? Hey, buddy, you're unique, just like everybody else.
That's a good point. I like it.
That offended me
As a unique individual, I'm
because I was
certainly
told
offended.
I was unique once, and now you just blew that away.
So what do we do? I mean,
we get it out there. We get people to think. We get people to get past that, to keep listening past that initial, "Oh, I'm offended." Listen a little bit more. Tune back in, and put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You control your own moment of getting offended, and nobody else can tell you when you're offended. And remember that.
Yep. What do you guys got anything else? What else did you read about Learn Helplessness?
Oh, just the guy who came up with it. He was University of Pennsylvania, and the studies on how he did it. It was very interesting. I didn't go too far into it, but just the idea itself is a very, very, it's a very, very neat psychological. I say neat. Please don't get offended. What I mean to me is that's interesting
Neat, that's
to me.
how I like my whiskey. By
There
the way.
you go.
Neat.
It was very, very interesting to me, and I kind of enjoy that side of it, that stuff,
Yeah.
psychological stuff, and so it can be applied to everybody.
What do you think
Yeah.
about how we doing on time? Az?
We're a little over, but we're all right. We go over another about 10 minutes
What do
here.
you
We
think
can just you can
about,
just cut Lance out of most of it.
Yeah, just cut him off.
as an
We'll edit him out.
I mean, because then we have at least 30 more minutes of real talk.
another thing that bothers me, Lance,
Government executions are going to start soon.
and you speak on this is we have a situation in which people are choosing between work and access to health care.
Mhm.
But we hear about the systems in other countries and how flawed they are.
Mhm.
And I would like to see for the truly disabled population, just like keeping their check, they could keep access to these Medicare benefits or whatever medical they have.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts on this whole debate between America being the country with for-profit health care? What do you think for-profit health care has done in regard to how people are cared for? Do you think people in these other countries in Western Europe are actually getting less care? Do you have any knowledge on that?
Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't have any expert knowledge, but talking about Canada and the United Kingdom, they've got socialized medicine. And the people from those countries, well, Canada says a little different. You'll get people who say they love it and people say they hate it. I don't know anybody who likes the healthcare system in England. They hate
It's
it.
broken.
Yeah, and that's what unfortunately, that's what we're headed towards, JP, very slowly at this point now.
You know why that scares me? And it scares me because what happens to complex rehab?
Mm-hmm.
And that's in a universal health care socialized medicine environment.
Yep.
Whatever. Because we're fighting that fight right now.
Yep.
I'm
Daily.
actually fighting that fight right now. Is access to complex rehab. And what we mean by complex rehab, and As help me out, is the ability to acquire wheelchairs like this, customized for the user, instead of
just I call it the geriatric chair, but the typical chair you'd see at a nursing home.
like
that.
best case scenario would be a hover round. Remember the hover round
Right,
commercial?
yeah.
Like
Yep.
2 a.m.
That was
Hover
true
round,
freedom.
Hover round, true freedom.
I mean, they looked
Yeah.
really happy.
Did you know when that guy cornered the bathroom there? He
Yeah.
just went right in.
I never saw
I don't-
anybody on a hover round with a frown on their face. I'll
No,
just tell
I
you
know.
that.
That's
I don't know
right.
why you're knocking the hover around.
Right.
You're going to get executed.
We're not sponsored by Hover Round either. Just so
Yeah.
everybody knows.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's what's scary is on one hand, I don't like touchback into keeping your benefits and working all you can, paying all the taxes you can, but I don't think the solution is universal health care.
Oh, no.
Because I think the compromise on that would be access to complex, costly, and rightly so,
Super costly. Yeah.
complex rehab solutions that are key to me working. If I can get a chair like this, my working would be, I'd be taking a speed reading course on helplessness, see if I could learn it.
Yep. That's right.
because it would completely change my life. So work all you can and work and listen out there. Tell people, hey, the disabled, they really ought to be able to work and not have to worry about their disability and how they're going to accommodate it. They need to focus totally on working and paying taxes one day at a time.
Yep.
As you told me a little bit about JP and what he goes through, and I think you guys have covered this in either a vlog or a podcast, and it's inspiring. It's motivational, to have somebody like you who goes through that, who gets up and every single day, you go through stuff that a lot of people don't have to go through, and yet some of those people are laying in bed, sitting on their couch, doing nothing.
Right, and it's not. Thank you, first of all, Lance. But it's not something I just made the decision to do, and now it's super easy. In the morning, I'll have the same oh shit feeling because I have to do it again, and every time it's harder and harder. So I always watch
It's harder
that.
when you age too.
Yeah, and the aging.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting into. Is nobody's really looked at aging with cerebral palsy, aging with cord injuries and things of this nature. So yeah, so it's a daily struggle, but my philosophy is get up, push forward. Get up, push forward. That's why I love mixed martial arts, why I love wrestling, why I love combat sports, because there's the proving ground for me is, can I do this one more time? I'm so tired when I get out of the shower that I can almost just slide into bed because of the exhaustion level. And I think, well, I could do that again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So yeah, it's, but what choice do I have? Quit or fight?
Yep.
And I'm going to fight.
And as somebody who's disabled ages, they start to have more and more issues. JP and I talked about this at one point. He was able to get on a treadmill, and he was doing some treadmill work. Yeah. And so back about that time period, we actually started meeting to try to start moving forward with a nonprofit of making a gym for people who are disabled.
Yeah.
Because physically, he's talking about being tired. Part of the reason why he's tired is, think about it, he doesn't get the cardiovascular workout.
Right. Atrophy.
He has no ability to just go get all that done.
Just look at the pulmonary aspect, the lung aspect, of really getting the lungs going, and that's why it's hard to get over colds and things like that, because you don't kind of get that reset button that you get. I was talking to my best friend about this. He's a doctor. And we're talking about maybe incorporating a sauna. The sauna could trigger that reset, maybe, and at least water, because the body just doesn't get that work, and being in a sitting position for hours,
Yep.
So there's challenges, but hey, my choice is to give up or to keep fighting. And I want to be an example to my kids, my two boys, my friends, my peers, whoever I can be. Is, man, that guy's working. I'm gonna get my ass at work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's inspirational, man.
Yeah, super cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Now, let me ask you a question, though. This is a serious one. How does it affect your hangovers the next day?
Hangovers can be rough. Let me tell you. I'll tell you the Kentucky story sometime. Man, I did the Bourbon Trail. I rode the Bourbon Trail one time, folks. Let me tell you, it was American. It was glorious. But that next day was hard on me.
Well, I don't know what the Bourbon Trail is. You got to tell
The
me.
Bourbon Trail is in Kentucky. Okay, when we became a country, obviously we bought our whiskey from England, and we stopped doing that. We got tired of doing that. There was a county in Virginia called Bourbon County. They had all this corn, and they said we're just gonna make our own whiskey, and they decided to call that American whiskey bourbon because of Bourbon County. And that Bourbon County is now part of Kentucky. So all the American, well, not all, but the vast majority of American whiskey is made in that small area of Kentucky. And so when you go down there, you can do the Bourbon Trail where you stop at all these distilleries and try all these whiskeys, or as they call them, bourbons, which is another word for American whiskey. And I got to do that once. And
So how many shots would that be?
well, we drank a lot at each distillery and celebrate America. You know, I think I may have pissed red, white, and blue that night. I'm not sure, but I've never felt more American. I've never felt more American than I did on the Bourbon Trail. So maybe we can road trip and vlog from the Bourbon Trail sometime.
Down.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we can
Cool.
do that.
That'd be real
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's good. We have some vlogs coming up. Looks like we may have one for bowling coming up. I'm going up to work out with a guy this next week. It's a spinal cord injury. And I'm going to vlog that coming up this next week. So that'd be cool. But you know what? Those will probably all be out before this podcast even comes out, to be honest with you. So,
Well, that's fine. If you were listening, go back and check them out.
yeah, that's right. Go back and check them out. That's exactly what we want to do. That's exactly what we want to do. Well, did we solve anything? I don't know if we did. We ran out of time.
I don't know if we solved anything, but we got the wheels of thought turning.
Yeah.
You know, and I think every week we're tapping into that, and I think sets America apart from other countries. We're sitting down and really trying to look at things and how to make things better. Because it'd been very easy back then to say, "What the hell are we doing? Let's just stay part of England." But we said, "You know what? Let's just start our own stuff."
Yep.
You know, that's what we're doing now. It's easier to stay on disability or stay inside the comfort zone of learned helplessness. But let's break through, man. Let's see what's on the other side. My chair's charged up.
Yeah,
Let's go get it.
I love it.
You guys know what comes after sharing of ideas, right? Execution.
No, that's right.
Execution.
In big government.
This
And
guy's,
big-
this guy's gonna be wearing one of those hoods next time and have an axe or something ready to start.
That was meant to be a double entendre.
Okay,
like
so
Dirk got it.
I think one thing we need to,
Yeah.
we're trying to, we'll have people on. Obviously, you guys are welcome to come back anytime. But one thing I want to ask you guys is what else can be done? And I'm not talking about from the governmental side. Screw all that. I'm talking about what JP and the movement we're trying to do. What would you like to see? You know, when you look at what we're doing already and the things we've done, what would you see that we should add to that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like even if it's something simple like, hey, we need to hit a country concert, or because I don't go do country. You guys know that. But we need to.
thanks.
Yeah, I know exactly. Dickie's with it. Can't do that. But if we're gonna go, Garth Brooks is in town, right?
Right.
Everybody went. I should have went and vlogged it. You know, so things like that. Any ideas you guys can think of that are out there?
I was beginning to think my social media pages were like Garth Brooks promo
Right.
experiments. Like,
Oh God.
God, anybody not go to Garth Brooks?
I don't have anything specific. You're talking about bowling. You're talking about, you did the iFly. You're talking about the lake, the lake
Yeah,
that you did.
yeah.
Just keep doing that stuff and getting it in front of people, getting people educated, mentoring. Those are all things that you're doing now. Just keep doing them. And like you were saying, just you get up every day and just keep doing it and doing it. And next thing you know, it's it is a movement, but it's become a bigger movement.
Yeah.
And more and more. So it's just exposure, and you guys are doing that.
Cool.
So,
Well,
Public awareness. I mean, really.
Yeah. More of it.
I mean, I don't know how much there's talk about disabled. I'd never read about it. I'd never read about how do we, increase, their lives to be better unless it's specific like what we're doing now. The only time it really comes into play is when there's nowhere to park,
Right.
except the ones in the front.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Right.
Yeah.
Then you think about disability people. Well, how do we get public awareness out besides the best parking spot?
Yeah, do you ever go to Walmart and you see like every spot's taken, then you go into Walmart and there's nobody in a wheelchair in Walmart and you think, every spot was taken, where's the wheelchairs, folks? Then
Well-
that's a whole other issue because to get that parking spot, all you gotta do is have a good relationship with your doctor.
Yeah.
You've had a doctor
That's a
for
loophole
20
we talked about.
You have
Right.
a doctor for 20 years, you tell him, shit, I'm tired of walking all the way to that Walmart door. If I could have one of them, and then he signs the form for you. Then you've got one. So that's another loophole. Like I was saying, something we have to address. So I think connections are important. Talking to people in the community, say who in your family is disabled, and start to.
Well, we were all connected. That's the thing. I mean, Dick, you said that, hey, I got somebody in my
Yeah.
family, but you don't think about it, the awareness and how we get that out there. I mean, I think the vlogs are helpful, but the problem is when somebody sees something that's handicapped, they may just not watch it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
meaning because it's not interesting to them,
Yeah,
or
well, yeah. Well, they don't know, because if you watch anything that's handicapped, sometimes it's just not interesting. So how do we?
Well, we got to make it interesting.
No, we do, and that's the goal, I think.
in the short hour that we've had here listening to JP, you're intelligent, funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting.
Oh, his stories are great.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
And so doing those kind of things,
For
you can
example,
relate.
I'd like to do stand up at the Looney Bin
Okay.
here in OKC.
Oh yeah.
Handicap
Did he just say stand up?
me doing stand up comedy?
Wait, can you do
Stand-
stand up?
Let's
When they
stand
let
up
you-
So
comedy.
are you like a fraud?
Like sit down comedy.
Sit down comedy.
Right,
Okay, right.
right. Because we're only figuratively standing up in my set.
Oh, you're definitely going to call it your stand up routine.
Yeah, to make
Okay.
to make people laugh though, I think it's the best icebreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Because I went to see what's the guy's name? I forget, but a comedian that was there a while back. He was a little person. I think it's the politically correct term. Here we are,
Yeah.
politically correct now. Anyway, Brad Williams.
Brad Wiggins. Yeah.
He I tried to get into the show late, and he saw me. I couldn't get in; it was so loud. But he was walking in to the main arena. I was at the bar with my chair elevated, and he said, "Hey, are you going to the show?" And I said, "I couldn't get in." And he said, "Oh man, don't worry about that. I'll get you in." So he went in there and talked to somebody, and he got me in. Well, one of his jokes was being in the Special Olympics and beating this guy in a wheelchair in this race, and everybody kind of had pause before laughing. He said, "Oh, you can laugh. He's in the back." So I waited. So shout out to Brad Williams. When he gets back here, we'll get him on the show.
Okay, cool,
He's
cool.
a lot of fun. But yeah, laughter is a great entryway. Common interest. We're going to be doing some sports stuff, and people are going to, it's not going to be just hammering you with disability stuff
No,
constantly. We're going to have fun here.
we're gonna graze it. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll always be
We're
in
going to
there.
have fun.
Yeah.
It's in our name, but
Yeah.
we're going to have fun while
Yeah.
we're doing it.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you kind of brought up last time about the first time you ever met the friends, and there's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yep.
As sad as it is about when someone is disabled is around.
Yeah.
Some people would feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that they're uncomfortable or
They don't know.
they're sad. They feel, I don't know, whatever. But
And everybody's got a threshold of when the ice is broken. Like, for example, with Dickie, I think it was broken pretty early.
That's just his character too.
Yeah, but I
yeah.
think, like, if you take E, for example.
Yeah.
I think E was one of the later comfortable guys with me.
Yep.
It may have took 2 visits before he's like, all right.
Yep.
And the mayor took a little while. You remember Mick Cornett? You sang out with us?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
I'm talking about Thomas.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
I thought you were talking about Fred Hoiberg.
I call him the mayor. To me, it looks like the mayor, the former mayor. By the way, it's interesting that he's running for governor of our great state. former mayor of OKC has announced that he's running for governor. I think that's interesting. Not endorsing him necessarily, but it is interesting.
That is interesting.
To see him doing that. So yeah, I think everybody's got that threshold of when they're comfortable with the disabled person, and common and just laughter and having a good time helps to find that level of comfort.
We got to keep doing it. We got to keep figuring out. You guys need to join this journey the whole time. I mean, we need.
I'm in.
Yeah.
We got people. I need vlog help, like ideas, places to go.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere, you're at a place, and you're like, this would be cool to check out. You know, whatever it is.
Take photos, email them to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And people out there too, we said all the time, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear your stories. We want to talk to you. We want to interview you. We want to interact with you. Let's get this movement going. Jump on board.
Yep. I thank you guys.
Hey, thank you for having us on.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Fun. Good time.
Enjoyed it, JP.
Oh, thank you. Really good time.
Thanks, everybody.
Doing what you do, doing what you do. Just keep on doing what you do, doing what you do, doing what you do, doing what you do, doing what you do. Do what you like, do what you like.